Have you ever faced the overwhelming challenge of living with an elderly family member, only to see the strain it places on your relationships and home life? In this video, we delve into one woman's emotional journey as she navigates the difficulties of caring for her father-in-law, the unexpected secrets that surfaced, and how they ultimately transformed her family's dynamic. Stay tuned until the end to discover the powerful lesson she learned that could change the way you approach family conflicts and bring peace back into your own home. If you haven't yet subscribed, I highly recommend doing so and activating the notification bell to ensure you never miss a video. Your support means a lot to me as we continue to grow our community and reach more people with our content. If you enjoy the topic of this video, please leave a comment with the number 1. If it's not quite your cup of tea, drop a 0 in the comments. Your feedback is crucial in helping me create content that better serves you. Let's get started. My father-in-law and mother-in-law, once the esteemed pillars of their village community, devoted their lives to the noble calling of education. For decades, they poured their hearts into shaping young minds in their rural town, nurturing a generation with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering dedication. Their tireless commitment to teaching left an indelible mark on countless children, weaving a legacy of knowledge and kindness that resonated throughout their community. Upon their retirement, they initially embraced a quieter, more tranquil existence. The first 6 months of their post-retirement life were spent in a gentle rhythm of relaxation, marked by simple pleasures and the serene routine of rural living. They found joy in tending to a small flock of chicks, their daily care imbued with the same tenderness they had once bestowed upon their students. With a generous pension of over 10,000 yuan each month, their financial needs were comfortably met, allowing them to savor a peaceful and fulfilling life in the countryside they cherished. Yet beneath the calm surface of their rural contentment, my mother-in-law harbored a long-held dream, a desire to experience the vibrant pulse of city life, which had always seemed just beyond her grasp. One day, she shared this dream with my father-in-law, expressing a longing to trade the quietude of village life for the bustling energy of a county town. Her words, filled with a poignant yearning, struck a chord with my father-in-law, who had always prioritized her happiness above all else. Moved by her heartfelt wish, he listened with deep empathy and love, and without a moment's hesitation, he agreed to embark on this new adventure with her. With the help of supportive relatives, they soon discovered and purchased a modest 60-square-meter second-hand house in the heart of the county town. This new home, while unpretentious, symbolized the beginning of an exciting new chapter in their lives. As they settled into their new environment, they embraced the joys of urban living with open hearts. Mornings were filled with a lively chatter and strategic play of mahjong at a local parlor, a cherished social ritual that brought them both pleasure and a sense of community. The afternoons were reserved for peaceful relaxation within the cozy embrace of their new abode, a sanctuary from the bustling world outside. As dusk approached, they would head to the park, where the evening air came alive with music and laughter. Together, they danced in the square, celebrating the newfound freedom and vitality that their new city life offered. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Their days in the county town were rich with the vibrancy and energy they had always desired, and they reveled in the simple, yet profound joys of their new lifestyle. The transition from their beloved village to the dynamic rhythm of city life marked a fulfilling culmination of their shared dreams and a testament to their enduring partnership. For a while, their days flowed with a peaceful rhythm, and they began to relish the fruits of their decision to move. It seemed as though their dream of a serene and fulfilling retirement was finally coming to fruition. But fate had other plans, and their newfound happiness was abruptly overshadowed by a heart-wrenching tragedy. In the second year of their city life, my father-in-law and mother-in-law ventured to a nearby mall, eager to purchase some new clothes. As they crossed the street, their routine took a devastating turn. My mother-in-law, caught off guard and unable to react swiftly, was struck by a passing truck. The chaos of the accident was a blur, and she was swiftly transported to the hospital, where she endured over 2 agonizing hours in emergency care. Despite the tireless efforts of the medical team, the severity of her injuries proved insurmountable, and they were unable to save her. The sudden loss of my mother-in-law was a blow that reverberated through the core of our family. Her passing left an irreplaceable void, and my father-in-law, who had always been a beacon of strength and devotion, was left grappling with an overwhelming sorrow. The man who had once been so vibrant and full of life now appeared diminished, his once lively eyes clouded with a profound sadness. He wandered through his days in a daze, the weight of grief heavy upon his shoulders, his spirit broken by the cruel twist of fate. The dream of a peaceful and joyous retirement, which they had so eagerly embraced, was cruelly snatched away, leaving behind only the aching emptiness of loss. Some children may show disrespectful attitudes towards their parents in public, but deep down, they still yearn for their parents' approval. If parents always mention their children's shortcomings in front of others, it will only damage the child's image in others' eyes and undermine their self-confidence. Worse still, it could lead them to self-destructive behavior. As parents, we should show tolerance, resolve family conflicts within the family, and avoid criticizing our children's shortcomings in front of others. Internally, the family should be understanding; externally, cautious and tactful. No matter how the relationship with our children is, we should always protect our children's faces in front of others, not letting outsiders judge or interfere. A home is a place of belonging, a sanctuary for the harmony and peace of the family. We must protect family secrets. Suppress the urge to refute, take a step back for advancement. Franklin once said, "Argument is a game played by people, but it's a strange game where no one has ever won. Too many people have a good temper in front of outsiders but have no patience for loved ones, especially parents." It's easy for children to lose control and argue with each other. Old Lou, the neighbor, always complained that his daughter's attitude towards him was getting colder. They would start arguing after a few words. It was because his daughter shared daily interesting stories with him, but he always interrupted her, only focusing on playing. "She's grown up and hasn't found a partner yet. I can't hold my head up in front of relatives." She confided her dissatisfaction to her father, wanting to change jobs, but received questioning about why she couldn't keep a job. Young people need to endure hardship patiently. Eventually, the family reached a consensus that the situation could not persist indefinitely. My husband, recognizing the strain and the lack of resolution, proposed a solution. "Dad, our family may not be the wealthiest, but why don't you come live with us?" His 2 younger brothers, having understood the gravity of the situation, agreed with him, adding, "Yes, brother, bring Dad to your place. We won't interfere." After some thoughtful discussion, the 3 brothers decided that, given my husband's proximity to their father's home and the convenience of transportation, it would be most practical for him to assume responsibility for their father's care. This arrangement seemed the most feasible and was ultimately agreed upon. Thus, my father-in-law moved into our home. Despite this resolution, the transition was far from smooth. My father-in-law's stubbornness persisted, and no matter what efforts we made, he remained perpetually dissatisfied. The atmosphere in the house grew increasingly tense and uncomfortable. If it weren't for my husband's earnest wish to honor his father and the emotional bond they shared, I would have strongly preferred not to have my father-in-law live with us. Since moving in, my father-in-law contributed nothing financially. He ceased paying his share of the rent, utilities, and other household expenses, leaving me to bear the brunt of these costs. The burden of purchasing essentials like rice, oil, and salt fell solely on me. He maintained a strict routine of eating meals at regular times, going to bed promptly, and essentially remaining a passive presence in the household. His refusal to engage in any household chores or responsibilities only added to the strain. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Moreover, my father-in-law's temperament was a source of constant friction. He had a particularly abrasive nature and was unyielding to any attempts at communication or compromise. One incident epitomized his disregard for others when my son brought him a glass of water. My father-in-law didn't even bother to acknowledge the gesture. Instead, he curtly responded, "I didn't ask for water." "Are you just trying to be unnecessary?" My son was left stunned and unsure of how to react. Seeing the hurt and confusion on my son's face was profoundly upsetting, and it deepened the sense of frustration and sadness within me. Despite several conversations between my husband and his father, aimed at resolving these issues and fostering a more harmonious environment, my father-in-law remained unchanged. His resistance and refusal to adapt created a constant, oppressive atmosphere in our home, challenging our patience and resolve. One day, a relative from our village visited us and shared an unsettling revelation. My father-in-law had transferred all the funds from selling his house to his youngest son. To avoid disturbing his youngest son's household, he kept this transaction hidden from his other two sons. This revelation hit me like a thunderbolt. I was immediately overcome with a sense of turmoil and disbelief. In the quiet aftermath, I sought confirmation from my brother-in-law, who reluctantly admitted that indeed he had used my father-in-law's money to purchase a house. However, he assured me that he intended to repay every penny to my husband, leaving no debt unpaid. Despite his promise, I chose to keep this information from my husband, believing it was best for fewer people to be burdened with this knowledge. Nonetheless, this revelation cast a shadow over my feelings towards my father-in-law, and an indescribable weight settled in my heart. As my demeanor grew colder and more distant, my father-in-law responded with increasing hostility. The tension between us became palpable, and the atmosphere in the house grew even more strained. This awkward and uncomfortable situation persisted for months, leaving me feeling isolated and conflicted. Then, an opportunity arose when my husband took our son on a short trip, leaving me alone with my father-in-law. The absence of my husband's calming presence only intensified the discomfort. My father-in-law's lack of cooperation was particularly irksome, exacerbating my sense of unease. Feeling overwhelmed, I decided to call my brother-in-law, requesting that he take my father-in-law to his home for a few days, hoping this would provide some relief until my husband returned. My brother-in-law agreed to help and arrived the next day to collect my father-in-law. However, despite the arrangement, my father-in-law stubbornly refused to leave. He insisted on staying until my husband came back, his resolve unwavering. My brother-in-law, faced with this obstinate refusal, had no choice but to leave empty-handed, leaving me to navigate the ongoing tension and discomfort on my own. The entire situation had reached a point where my patience was frayed, and the emotional strain was becoming increasingly difficult to bear. The unresolved issues and unspoken grievances created a heavy atmosphere in our home, and I was left grappling with the complexity of family dynamics and personal feelings. When my husband returned from his trip, I found it impossible to keep my feelings bottled up any longer. I confided in him about the situation with his father, expressing my deep discomfort and exhaustion from living with him. I said, "Honey, I've reached a point where I can't continue living with your father. I'm considering moving out with our child. I need some space to breathe." My husband's face grew somber, and though he didn't immediately respond, I could sense his disquiet. The following day, he took it upon himself to speak with my father-in-law. I had no insight into their conversation, but within a few days, my father-in-law announced that he wished to move in with my brother-in-law instead. A tremendous sense of relief washed over me, like a burden lifted from my shoulders. With my father-in-law no longer in our home, the atmosphere became significantly more relaxed. The change was palpable, and I felt a renewed sense of peace in the house. Yet this shift in the household dynamic brought about an unexpected consequence. My feelings toward my husband began to shift dramatically. With my father-in-law out of the picture, I found myself increasingly irritable and discontented. Small mistakes or minor inconveniences became sources of significant frustration. It seemed as though every action my husband took was magnified into a fault, and my patience wore thin. My demeanor towards him grew colder, and our interactions became fraught with tension. My husband, too, began to withdraw. The once steadfast patience he had shown started to erode, and our relationship began to suffer. The emotional distance between us grew, and the strain became more evident with each passing day. Then, one day, my husband broke the silence with a pointed question. "Wife," he said, "do you think this constant feeling of being wronged is beneficial to anyone? You're always sensing that others are against you, but you haven't contributed positively to our family or shown appreciation for me or our child. I'm not happy. And it seems like you don't want me to be happy either." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment on number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. His words struck me deeply, revealing the underlying strain in our relationship that had been exacerbated by recent events. The reality of our situation hit hard, and I was forced to confront the impact of my actions and attitudes on both myself and my family. The realization that our collective unhappiness was a consequence of our unresolved conflicts and miscommunications made me reflect on the need for change and understanding in our relationship. I was momentarily stunned, a jolt of realization hitting me with full force. My husband's words echoed in my mind, and I suddenly saw the truth in them. All along, I had been consumed by an unspoken resentment, particularly since my father-in-law moved in. Even after his departure, my dissatisfaction remained, focused solely on my husband. It dawned on me that my frustration was misplaced, and that perhaps I had been overlooking my role in our troubles. In the wake of this epiphany, I decided to reassess my approach to our family life. I began to genuinely reflect on my behavior and attitudes. With a conscious effort, I worked to adjust my mindset, fostering a more supportive and caring approach towards my husband and our child. Slowly but surely, the dynamics in our household started to mend. The warmth and harmony that once characterized our relationship began to resurface, mirroring the early days of our marriage. Life gradually improved, and I found myself appreciating the small, everyday moments. My husband became more attentive and considerate, and the atmosphere in our home felt more like it did when we first started our journey together. Despite occasional disagreements, we learned to resolve them swiftly and with mutual understanding. The dissatisfaction and resentment that had once clouded my heart dissipated, replaced by a newfound sense of contentment. Even my relationship with my father-in-law softened. He occasionally reached out to check on how things were going. This transformation in our interactions was a testament to the power of understanding and mutual care. Through this experience, I came to realize a profound truth about life. It's not about the grand gestures or the constant pursuit of personal gain. Instead, it's about fostering compassion, letting go of rigid stubbornness, and valuing the relationships right in front of us. Life, in its essence, is simpler than we often make it out to be. Embracing this mindset and appreciating the people we hold dear allows us to find true happiness and fulfillment. As we reflect on the journey of my father-in-law and mother-in-law, we witness a poignant tale of dreams, transitions, and the evolving nature of life. From their dedicated years as village teachers to their retirement and new beginnings in the city, their story offers valuable insights into the importance of pursuing one's dreams and adapting to life's changes with grace and love. Their experiences remind us of the profound impact of embracing change and finding joy in new stages of life. We'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from their story? Is there a particular lesson or insight that resonates with you? Share in the comments below one thing you've learned from this video and how you plan to apply it to your own life. If you enjoyed this video and found it inspiring, please leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you more meaningful content. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to connecting with you in the comments.